You ever notice how you follow rules no one actually taught you? Not school rules, not laws, those silent, universal instructions we all obey without knowing why. You hold the door a little longer than you should. You freeze in an elevator like it's a soundproof coffin. You stand on the right side of the escalator, even though no sign told you to. A stranger sneezes, and your mouth says, "Bless you," before your brain even boots up. These aren't habits. They're invisible agreements, shared human software running in the background. And once you see them, you can't unsee them. Here come 35 real, everyday rules that shape your life, even though nobody ever wrote them down. Number 1, you spot an empty bus. Rows of seats like a chessboard. You still slide to the window, leaving a polite buffer. That gap isn't shyness, it's proxemics. In 1966, anthropologist Edward T. Hall mapped our personal bubbles: public distance, social distance, the invisible fence we carry. On buses, we treat each cushion as micro-territory. Crowding it without cause feels like stepping on someone's lawn. Watch what happens at the next stop. Only when space runs out do strangers finally pair up. Why it matters. Design, safety, even politics of space ride on this rule. Punchline: nobody wrote, "Don't sit next to me," yet the whole bus reads it. Number 2, faces forward, the elevator seems to whisper. Doors close, shoes shuffle. 12 strangers stare at the numbers. Irving Goffman described this choreography in the 1963 classic Behavior in Public Places. Minimal eye contact, tight posture, micro nods at floors. Try turning around. You'll feel the air tense. It isn't fear, it's the interaction order, our unspoken truce for cramped boxes. Architects know mirrored walls and soft lights lower anxiety by giving eyes somewhere polite to land. Moral: in a metal shoebox, silence and forward gaze are the nearest thing to a constitution. Number 3, nice shot, you say, before your brain even loads the photo. That reflex is social glue. Goffman would call it facework. We protect each other's presentation with tiny gifts: a laugh, a like, a quick wow. Notice the choreography. They angle the screen. You lean in. 2 seconds of praise, then a question. Where was this? To stretch the moment. Even tech giants design for this ritual. One-tap hearts, auto stickers, haptics. Because friction kills compliments. Why it matters. Micro-affirmations keep groups warm and open. Punchline: honesty is valued, but a 0.7-second "looks great" keeps the friendship running on time. Number 4, door half open, palm out, you accelerate without thinking. That little jog is reciprocity in motion. Social psychologists find we balance costs and favors on the fly. They hold, you hurry, ledger cleared. Time it. 3 extra steps, maybe 1 second shaved. Refuse the script, stroll slowly, and watch faces tighten. Offices even teach it informally. Seniors hold heavy doors at 8:59. Juniors quicken pace. Everyone rolls into the meeting a fraction more aligned. Why it matters. Micro-cooperation scales. It's the oil in crowded buildings. Punchline: no sign says, "Pick up the pace," yet your feet obey. Number 5, a line forms and, like magnets, we snap to the tail. No training needed, no marshal with a whistle. Queuing is the civics class we all passed by osmosis. Urbanists note how a single cutter can add seconds per person as arguments ripple. That's why airports rope paths and supermarkets paint floor marks, to make virtue effortless. In Britain, the queue is practically sacred. In Tokyo, commuters align with platform arrows to the centimeter. The rule delivers fairness at scale. First in, first out, tempers cool. Punchline: Justice may be blind, but in a line it also stands exactly behind the last person. Number 6. The plate makes one soft clink on the table, and there it is. One lonely slice left. Everyone sees it. Everyone pretends not to. You hover your fork, crack a joke, stall. Because the unwritten contract says the last piece belongs to the group, not to you. Office lunches, family dinners, weddings, it's the same choreography. Someone offers it to share. Someone cuts it in halves so tiny they're basically crumbs. Why it matters? It keeps the room friendly. No hero play, no silent scorekeeping. And if someone finally takes it, they do the ritual. Only if you're sure, 2 times, minimum. Moral: hunger is simple, harmony isn't, so we protect the harmony. Number 7. Call me after 9? After 9 p.m.? You both laugh because you know the rule. Late-night calls are for emergencies, parents, or flights gone wrong. Everyone else texts. No statute, no platform policy, just decades of neighbors, roommates, partners silently agreeing that 21 flips a switch from reachable to respect the bubble. That buzz at 22:37, your heart jumps. What happened? Then it's a calendar link. Brutal. The cost isn't data or minutes, it's sleep and peace. The fix is simple. Send a message first. Moral: time has boundaries even when the internet doesn't. Number 8. Ping, file received. Before you even open it, your thumbs type thanks. It's not about the PDF, it's about the person. The microtransaction of gratitude oils every team thread and friend chat. We learned it the hard way. No thanks, and the sender wonders if the link died, the task was ignored, or the favor didn't count. One word secures the whole exchange. In busy groups, the double tap, the like, the got it keeps the queue moving and reputations intact. You don't need a corporate handbook. This is the handbook. Moral: small acknowledgments prevent big misunderstandings. Number 9. You slide into a train seat, drop a tote, and suddenly that square of fabric is yours. No name tag, no ticket stamp. Still, people read the signals. Bag on the lap, headphones in, knees angled out just so. Unwritten property law. When you get up for 2 minutes, coffee, quick call, your jacket guards the claim like a tiny flag. And everyone plays along because it keeps public space from becoming a wrestling match. Edge case? Rush hour. Then the rule flexes. Is anyone here? Beats silent staking. Moral: shared space works only when we pretend it's private. Briefly, politely. Number 10. Menu in hand, eyes drift to the right column, and then ricochet back. You don't pick the priciest dish on a shared bill. Not on date night, not at the team dinner, not when your friend says, "my treat," and clearly doesn't mean mortgage payment. The dance is subtle. You anchor around the median, maybe one notch up if it's a celebration. And if you do go big, you announce it. I've been dreaming about this steak. I'll cover the difference. That line saves the vibe and the friendship. Moral: generosity feels good until someone treats it like a loophole. Number 11. A pen hits the floor with that tiny plastic tick, and 3 heads swivel before the owner even reacts. Someone bends, someone gestures, "I got it," and the pen finds its way home. It's automatic. Milgram called these micro-helping reflexes, the kind humans fire without thinking, because the social cost of ignoring them feels heavier than the object itself. Watch the moment closely. The helper gives a small smile. The owner mutters a soft, "thanks," and the whole scene lasts maybe 2 seconds. No rule book demanded it. Still, if you let the pen roll past your shoe, the silence would thicken. Moral: we're wired to pick up more than we drop. Number 12. You sink into the cinema chair, popcorn warm, lights dim, and one whisper cuts through the room like a laser. Instantly, 30 necks shift in unison. The unspoken movie treaty has been violated. Sociologists call it shared focus. 150 strangers choosing the same sensory tunnel for 2 hours. Break it, and the crowd punishes you with pointed sighs, synchronized seat shuffles, that infamous slow turn of the head. Even teenagers, rebels of every other space, know this rule. Cinemas rely on it so much that ushers rarely intervene. The room self-regulates. Moral: a theater isn't quiet because it's dark. It's quiet because everyone protects the story. Number 13. You step onto the crosswalk, and for a heartbeat, it's just you and a car. Then, eye contact. A tiny moment, but urban psychologists treat it like a binding handshake. You tell the driver, "I'm going." They tell you, "I see you." And suddenly, a ton of metal pauses for one human stride. Remove that glance, and the trust collapses. Accident studies show hesitation spikes by 40% when pedestrians avoid looking. Cities from Stockholm to Portland train both sides through design. Zebra stripes, raised corners, bright beacons. But the real mechanism is still that silent deal between two eyes. Moral: traffic laws help. Eye contact decides. Number 14. Someone tilts their phone toward you. Video incoming. And your body moves before your mind catches up. You lean at the same angle, match their shoulder height, even mirror their blink rate. Interactional synchrony, psychologists call it. The dance we don't rehearse, but all perform. The fun part? If the person is a friend, your heads nearly touch. If they're a coworker, the angle widens by a safe 2 inches. You'll nod at the punchline, exhale through your nose at the funny part, and return the phone with a half-smile you didn't plan. Moral: shared screens work because we sync long before we think. Number 15. You sit in a subway seat, glance at the person next to you, and instantly pretend you didn't. Welcome to civil inattention, Goffman's quiet masterpiece. It's that delicate balance, acknowledging someone's presence without actually engaging. You don't stare at their book, you don't read their texts, and you definitely don't track their playlist. Yet every rider steals micro-glances, reflections in windows, flashes in the phone glass. This ritual keeps packed cities from feeling like interrogation rooms. Break it: full stare, loud comment, intrusive question, and the entire carriage freezes. Moral: privacy isn't a wall. It's the courtesy of looking away. Number 16. The escalator hums under your feet, and without thinking, you drift to the right side. Didn't read a sign? Didn't hear an announcement? Your body just knows. Urban flow studies show that right-side standing reduces jams by up to 40% in dense transit hubs, which is why cities like London, Tokyo, and New York embrace this unwritten choreography. Watch what happens when someone stands dead center. Tiny coughs behind them, shifting weight, a polite "excuse me" that's somehow sharper than a shout. The rule isn't about courtesy, it's about efficiency. Thousands of people, one rhythm. Moral: in a crowded city, harmony begins with a single step to the side. Number 17. You spot someone walking toward you, someone who clearly remembers your name. And your brain? Scrambling like a browser with too many tabs. So you smile just a little too widely and say the safest line ever invented. "Hey, good to see you." Welcome to social face saving. Psychologists call it mutual identity maintenance. You both agree to pretend everything is normal until your memory catches up. Notice the cues. They drop a hint. "Long time at the old office, huh?" You nod like you plan to say that. The entire exchange floats on guesswork. Moral: sometimes the friendship survives because both sides bluff perfectly. Number 18. The message pops up. Okay, just 2 letters, but the tone? Ice cold. Digital linguists track this stuff. Punctuation and brevity shift, meaning online faster than in speech. Okay is neutral. Okay is clipped. K is basically a slap. That's why people pad the edges with emojis, extra vowels, or a quick "sounds good" to keep the mood human. It's not insecurity, it's adaptation. Text strips away facial cues, so we rebuild them with softness. A smiley, a ha-ha, a second sentence. Break the rule, and your coworker wonders what they did wrong. Moral: in the digital world, warmth is spelled with extra letters. Number 19. A sneeze fires across the room. Loud, unfiltered. And before you even register the sound, your mouth says, "Bless you." A reflex older than most languages. The phrase traces back to 6th century plague fears, church customs, even superstition about souls escaping. Yet somehow, it survived into the era of air purifiers and antihistamines. Social labs noticed something funny. People feel offended when no blessing comes, even if they don't believe in the meaning. It's not spirituality. It's acknowledgement. A micro nod that says, "I heard you, I'm with you." Moral: one sneeze, one blessing. Some rituals outlive their reasons. Number 20. 2 coworkers chat easily. Hobbies, movies, weekend plans, and then someone almost asks the forbidden question, "So how much do you make?" Silence drops like a curtain. In the US, discussing salary is legally protected, but socially radioactive. Pew surveys show over 70% feel uncomfortable or inappropriate bringing it up, even though transparency reduces wage gaps. The irony? HR departments often encourage openness, yet the culture freezes. So people talk in hints. Better offer? Jump in pay? Cost of living bump? Without touching the numbers. Fear of envy, judgment, or misreading the vibe keeps the taboo alive. Moral: money runs the world, but talking about it still scares us more than earning it. Number 21. You're laughing before you even know whether the joke is funny. That's the trick of liking someone. Your brain syncs to theirs. Psychologists call it affiliative laughter. You're not responding to humor, you're signaling connection. Notice the choreography. You lean in a bit, your eyes widen, your laugh starts half a second after theirs. In group settings, this effect spikes. If the person you want to impress chuckles, the whole table feels your energy shift. And when the joke actually isn't good, you still release that polite puff of air through your nose, the universal courtesy laugh. Moral: attraction doesn't just change your heartbeat, it edits your sense of humor on the fly. Number 22. You're in someone else's kitchen. They say, "Make yourself at home." But they don't mean that home. You hover near the counter, open 0 drawers, and definitely don't touch the fridge. Household anthropologists classify kitchens as inner territory, the most private zone outside a bedroom. Even close friends pause before grabbing a glass, waiting for permission like a secret handshake. Guests test boundaries with small steps. "Is it okay if I?" Hosts reply with, "Go ahead, but watch anyway." Everyone pretends it's casual. It isn't. Moral: you can be invited in without being invited into everything. Hospitality and boundaries dance in the same room. Number 23. A group photo snaps, flash, smiles, done. And instantly, 5 phones tilt downward as everyone zooms straight to their own face. Not the background, not the group. Their own eyes, angle, hair, expression. Social scientists call it self-referential scanning. The instinct to check status, attractiveness, and social alignment in a shared image. People judge symmetry, posture, even micro-blinks in under a second. Then comes the verdict ritual. A tiny nod if it's good, a groan if it's bad, a desperate, "Can we retake?" if it's catastrophic. Meanwhile, no one else cares as much. Moral. In group photos, the group is optional. Your face is the main character. Number 24. You're talking to a stranger, and without thinking, you settle at exactly 1 arm's length away. Not closer, not farther. Edward T. Hall mapped this in his proxemics research. About 1.2 meters is the standard social distance in Western cultures. Step closer, and the stranger leans back. Step farther, and they lean forward to hear you. It's a dance of micro-adjustments: feet, shoulders, tilt, gaze, each signaling comfort or retreat. Cross cultures, and the rule shifts. In parts of Latin America or the Middle East, closer is normal. In Scandinavia, distance stretches. Moral. The body knows boundaries long before the mind does. Number 25. Your phone buzzes with the most chilling message in modern life. We need to talk. No emojis, no context. Instantly, your stomach drops. Every study on digital communication anxiety shows the same pattern. Ambiguity triggers panic faster than bad news itself. People imagine breakups, firings, betrayals, forgotten deadlines, you name it. The actual talk? Usually harmless. Scheduling, feedback, planning. But the phrase carries cultural weight. Parents, teachers, bosses used it as the prelude to trouble for decades. Now, it's a psychological megaphone. Moral. 3 words can be scarier than the truth, especially when typed. Number 26. A friend lifts a box that's clearly too heavy, their arms trembling just enough to broadcast the signal. Before they even ask, you step in with, "Here, let me grab the side." That instinct isn't politeness. It's the micro-cooperation reflex mapped in Milgram's small helping studies. Humans are wired to respond when strain appears in someone's posture or breath. Watch the choreography. One person adjusts their grip, the other mirrors. Both pause at the same moment when the weight shifts. No contract, no coordination, just an ancient script of shared labor. And if you ignore it, the silence after feels heavier than the box itself. Moral. Effort invites assistance, the way smoke invites a firefighter. Number 27. Picture a cafe with chargers dangling from every outlet. A stranger's phone sits there, screen dark, cable taut. You need the plug, but you'd rather let your battery die than unplug theirs. Device etiquette, the newest unwritten rule. It's part ownership signal, part trust pact. You don't break someone else's lifeline to the digital world. People even hover protectively near their charging phone, glancing every few minutes like checking on a sleeping pet. And if someone does dare to unplug it? Gasps, stares, immediate villain energy. Moral. In public spaces, unplugging a stranger's phone is the closest thing modern life has to a social crime. Number 28. You see a familiar face across the street. Too far for a comfortable "hi," too close to pretend you're blind. So you enter the universal avoidance dance. Look at your shoes. Pretend to check your phone. Admire a tree that suddenly seems fascinating. Only when the distance shrinks to the acceptable greeting radius do you lift your head with that perfectly timed, "Oh, hey." This isn't awkwardness. It's social choreography. Studies show people avoid early recognition to dodge long-distance waving and forced shouting. Everyone plays along because it saves energy and dignity. Moral. Timing isn't everything, but in street greetings, it's the whole game. Number 29. and waiter sets down your plate with a soft, "Enjoy." Even if you're mid-sentence, you fire off a quick, "Thank you," reflexive, automatic, almost pre-verbal. It's part of the gratitude exchange built into service culture. The funny part? You're not actually thanking for the food. You're acknowledging the ritual. And the waiter knows this too. They're not expecting a conversation, just the cue that the handoff is complete. Watch restaurant floors long enough, and you'll see the symmetry. 98% of diners respond verbally to that single word. Skip it, and you feel a tiny pang of guilt you can't explain. Moral: courtesy is the seasoning everyone tastes. Number 30. A Zoom meeting starts. Cameras flicker on, mics crackle, and nobody speaks. 10 faces, frozen. Everyone waiting for someone brave enough to break the digital tension. It's the modern elevator silence, born from latency, tech glitches, and fear of talking over someone. Remote work researchers call it synchronization lag. Humans need a cue, a breath, a head tilt before beginning a group exchange. Eventually, one hero mutters, "Can everyone hear me?" And the spell breaks. But those first 15 seconds? Pure shared awkwardness, universal, predictable, weirdly comforting. Moral: silence isn't emptiness online. It's everyone calibrating at once. Number 31. You stand in the supermarket, 2 carts ahead, watching another line move twice as fast. Logic screams, "Switch," but your feet? Glued. It's queue loyalty, a behavioral quirk documented by Urban Flow researchers. We cling to our line because switching feels like betrayal, plus the fear that the moment you move, your old line will suddenly sprint. People calculate micro-justice. I've already invested time here. Even when the math makes no sense, the emotion does. And when someone behind you jumps lanes and wins, you pretend not to notice, but your soul feels the sting. Moral: patience isn't always a virtue. Sometimes it's just inertia, wearing a polite face. Number 32. You're saving a seat at a cafe, a lecture hall, a park bench. Your friend says, "Be right back," and instantly your body becomes the security system. Jacket on the chair, hand resting casually on the extra spot, eyes scanning newcomers. No one crowned you guardian. You just accepted the mission. Social norms call this the temporary territory rule. Someone announces a brief absence. The group protects their claim. If a stranger asks, "Is this taken?" you deliver the standard phrase, "Someone's sitting there." Crisp, polite, no further explanation. And if your friend takes too long, your anxiety rises. Moral: loyalty begins with holding a seat you don't need. Number 33. A stranger steps into the elevator with you, and suddenly, conversation feels illegal. The box closes, the air chills, and the silence becomes a shared pact. Even extroverts shrink into stillness. Why? Psychologists point to proxemic compression, the involuntary tension when personal space collapses. The brain reacts by reducing stimuli, fewer words, fewer gestures. The only acceptable noises are floor dings and soft coughs. Break the rule with a cheerful, "Busy day?" and half the cabin will flinch. Yet the moment the doors open, everyone exhales and resumes humanity. Moral: tiny spaces turn us into temporary mannequins, and that's how we keep the peace. Number 34. Step into any party and watch the migration. People drift from the living room to the kitchen. No matter how nice the decor, how loud the music, how wide the sofas, the kitchen becomes the gravitational center. Anthropologists trace it to instinct. Food equals safety, warmth, and timeless rituals of gathering. There's a reason hosts end up chopping limes while having deep life discussions beside the sink. Even strangers bond faster beside a fridge than a chandelier. And when the host tries to redirect the crowd, futile. The kitchen wins. Moral: humans don't gather where it's pretty. They gather where it feels real. Number 35. A siren wails in the distance. Police, ambulance, fire truck, and instinct snaps your head toward the sound. No training, no thought. Behavioral scientists call it threat orientation reflex, an ancient survival mechanism baked into our nervous system. Cities amplify it. Echoes bounce off buildings, making your brain work overtime to triangulate danger. Drivers hesitate, pedestrians freeze mid-step, conversations pause for half a breath. Even toddlers react the same way. And when the siren finally fades, the body relaxes as if completing a task. Moral: modern alarms speak the language of prehistoric instincts, and our ears answer every time.